UK's finest tourist spots when you decide to take a few photographs, of course, but before you've had a chance to frame the shot, you're stopped by the police.
So we've invited Chief Constable Andy Trotter from the Association of Chief Police Officers to explain and to tell us what action police are allowed to take and what rights we have. So, firstly, Jerome, we have the photographs that you took. What happened?
I was taking photographs of Parliament last Monday evening from the south side of the Thames. Two police officers came up to me and performed what's called a stop and account. It's not quite a stop and search, but it basically allows a police officer to ask you what you're up to.
And did they explain why, or whether they thought you were a
Yeah, the reason
threat?
it was given on the form that I was given was using a camera with a tripod. It seems to be the case that officers seem to regularly stop people who use tripods or tend to be using professional-sized cameras rather than little cameras. Cameras.
Now, it's often hard, Andy Trotter, Chief Constable, to get you to sort of talk about a specific one, but Jerome is here and this happened. So maybe you could give us insight into what was going through those officers' heads using that legislation in this context. I mean, if a police officer comes up to you, you're taking a photograph, and they ask you to account for yourself, do you have to? I mean,
But in these circumstances, it does seem a little excessive.
Yeah, we have examples also and other photographs. Two photographs of St Paul's Cathedral taken a few days ago by BBC photographer Jeff Overs, who was stopped by police. We also have a photograph of a fish and chip shop in Chatham in Kent, taken by Alex Turner in Kent back in July. He was stopped and arrested when he took a photograph of the two officers questioning him.
Obviously very difficult to talk about those specific circumstances because none of us know exactly what happened there. But quite clearly, what we expect officers to do is to be alert when they're on patrol, but not overuse their powers. These powers must be used sparingly and carefully. They are quite an intrusion into people's civil liberties. And we want to make sure that our officers are out there using these powers intelligently. It's not an offence to take a photograph. It's not a reason to stop someone just because they've got a camera.
The situation.
No, I mean, I knew I was perfectly entitled to take the photograph, and to be honest, I have no problem with police officers coming up to me and asking me what I'm doing. What I found particularly difficult was the idea that just through the act of taking a photograph of our seat of democracy, police officers would ask my name and my address, and then that would then be kept out of police office for the next year or so. And that I found was, slightly overextending. And I had no problem with the police officer asking, what am I doing? It was pretty obvious what I was doing because I had a tripod and a camera. But.
So, I mean, is that a justified worry? I mean, what happens if you do give your details in? Are they kept in a system? I mean, is that logged? Do you then mark down in some way in a computer system?
Well, clearly, if we take the details of the person that's stopped, both for protection of that person and of the police officer. But I come back to the point that we don't want our officers doing this. This is not what they should be
Sorry,
doing.
can you just answer that issue? About whether Jerome's details now, are they kept? I mean,
yes, they will have been kept, yes.
Under what? And as what? As someone who's been questioned?
No, as a record of a stop. We are obliged to keep the details of people we stop. I mean, that's what we have to do that. That's to ensure the protection of the officer and the person we stop, and we have to do that. But my point is there's no need to go that far. Ordinary patrolling by an ordinary police officer very quickly would have satisfied themselves that Jerome is doing nothing unusual.
Can you refuse to give your details?
Yes, you can.
Well, that was the thing that concerned me initially. I mean, I think it's worth pointing out that you don't need to give your details unless you're driving a car. You don't need to give your details during a stop and search or a stop and account. The question is, do the members of the public know that? Now, most members of the public, they don't want to lie to, or not lie to. If a police officer asks them a question, they will answer it. And I think it's a difficult balance to strike between protecting the public and allowing civil.
I'm just thinking in the real world, in that situation, if the person refuses to give any details, you might be worried that might inflame the situation because it looks like you're not cooperating.
No, but people should know their rights, and the police officers should also tell them that as well. They're not obliged to in those circumstances. These powers were brought in to protect the public. They shouldn't be used to oppress this sort of lawful everyday activity. And I think my task is to ensure our officers know that more clearly.
OK. Andy Trotter, Chief Constable of British Transport.
Wrong, madam. I am right. I can film because I'm doing it right now. There's nothing you can do. Do you understand that?
Can you just turn it
Madam,
off?
we don't live in authority.
I have been advised.
Well, whoever advised you is wrong.
Right, well, can you turn your camera off?
How dare you point at me and tell me what to do?
Turn your camera
Madam,
off.
you don't just tell people what to do. You're a PCSO.
What do you mean I'm just a PCSO?
This isn't Nazi Germany. This isn't North Korea. You can't just tell people what to do. Excuse me. Look, I'm a member of the public. You got to respect me. I pay your salary. Shouting at me.
All right, okay. Can I help you?
No. I don't want anyone to help me. She started telling me what to do.
I would like you, please, to stop filming. The reason I'm asking you this is twofold.
Yeah.
I'm appealing to you as a human being.
Okay.
For moral decency, because there are families linked to this.
Yes.
If it was your family, would you like it?
This is going to be all over the news tonight.
Okay, right.
Pictures of that all over the news.
Would you like it?
Would I like
Would you
what?
appreciate it?
Well, I'll tell you what, because
There's an investigation going on.
there is a crime scene investigation.
Potentially, at this moment in time, you're capturing something they might have missed. So in a minute, under PACE, Section 19 of PACE, there might be criminal offences linked to it. I can seize that camera.
We want to make sure that our officers are out there using these powers intelligently. It's not an offence to take a photograph. It's not a reason to stop someone just because they've got a camera.
And Jerome, did you?
It's not an offence to take a photograph. It's not a reason to stop someone just because they've got a camera.
And
There's an investigation going on.
There is a crime scene investigation.
Potentially, at this moment in time, you're capturing something they might have missed. So in a minute, under PACE, Section 19 of PACE, there might be criminal offences linked to it. I can seize that camera.
To take a photograph. It's not a reason to stop someone just because they've got a camera.
And
it's not an offence to take a photograph. It's not a reason to stop someone just because they've got a camera.
And Jerome.
What am I going to do with it?
All right, put it on
Yeah.
YouTube, crack on with it.
No, I don't need your permission. I'll do whatever I want with it.
They're not giving you my permission.
No, but you're speaking in an authoritarian manner.
I said, what's my role at this moment in time?
Your role is to
I'm
protect the crime scene, not to argue with the photographer on the side of the...
You're helping us by capturing something.
Dude,
that camera.
forgive my French. I'm not going to swear, but that's utter bollocks, and we both know it. It is utter bollocks. How can an amateur little camera...
Have you got nothing better to do with your time at this moment? Have you got nothing better to... Because at the moment, you're not even filming that, you're filming me. So
Yeah,
let's face it,
because
you're here
the
to
story
cause
has
trouble.
changed.
Are you here to cause trouble?
There is no
Right?
trouble.
Quite
You guys,
sadly.
please leave me alone.
Right, I
Leave me
suggest
alone.
you leave, okay?
You have no power to say... I'm not inside your cordon. There you go. I'm not inside your cordon.
In a minute, I'll arrest you for breach of the peace, remove you from the area, all right? Because you're causing me... These officers are trying to do their work, and you're obstructing them.
It's not an offence to take a photograph. It's not a reason to stop someone just because they've got a camera.
In a minute, I'll arrest you for breach of the peace, remove...
It's not an offence to take a photograph. It's not a reason to stop someone just because they've got a camera.
Dude,
That camera.
forgive my French. I'm not going to swear, but that's utter bollocks. Dude,
That camera.
forgive my French. I'm not going to swear, but that's utter bollocks.
It's not an offence to take a photograph. It's not a reason to stop someone just because they've got a camera.